Hey guys, it's me, Sam Lerner, your favorite character on the Goldbergs. That's not my character, that's my real name. But anyway, I'm on that show. I'm a guest on the Between Takes podcast this week. I had a great time hanging out with my friends Hart and Cam, and it's a good episode. Looking forward to you guys hearing it. It's going to be a great one.
Sam is an incredibly talented actor that currently works on the Goldbergs. We also have lived together for the last 5 years. We are so happy to have him on the podcast.
Yep, love him to death. He's great. It's a wonderful episode. Be sure to like and subscribe on the Himalaya app. Check us out on the Between Takes YouTube channel. And yeah, just listen to us, subscribe wherever you get your podcast.
What's up, boys? So we're doing this now. This is we're going.
Here we go. We're going. Welcome to the podcast, Sam Lerner.
Sam could be our biggest guest to date.
I feel like that's sarcasm, and I feel like that's disrespectful as well.
Yeah, what an ass.
I'm offended, but I'll continue. I will continue.
Sam,
you just walked off.
We're me at Cam's video out of this. It'll just be right. Sam and I.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the real team here.
What's up?
Anyway,
remember
Sam,
when we were almost roommates? That was so funny.
Oh boy, yeah.
Or why don't you explain that story?
Very close. Well,
it's not really a story. We almost moved in together. It was.
Yeah, but every place we looked at, it was like there was one master and like 3 closets.
Right.
And it was really hard to decide, like, all right, who's gonna get that, and then, or should we just rotate each month? It was just too much. It was rough.
Yeah, true.
I remember one of those houses, Hart was gonna like convert the garage into a bedroom.
Yeah.
They had
music studio.
Yeah, they had that like backyard like garage. It was actually nice.
That was a cool house.
It was cool, but then you guys were like, "No, it's where we need to watch fantasy football and stuff."
That sounds like
you're like
Cameron.
You can't have a studio here.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to play instruments. That's my impression of you, Cam.
Yeah.
Really?
But we didn't, and now you guys live together.
Yeah. We've been together for a while now, Cam and I. Cam and I have been roommates for like 5 years.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Is Graham there right now?
Graham is upstairs. He's working on self-tape stuff.
By himself?
Actor house, baby.
Do you guys who helps with who with self-tapes more?
Graham is the coach of the house. Like Graham works with everyone, and Cam's booked like jobs from working with Graham.
So have you booked jobs from working with Graham too.
I probably booked stuff working with Graham too. It's honestly pretty amazing having him.
Okay, well then I guess I'll be coming over there to doing my tapes from now on.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Maybe I should have moved into one of those closets.
Well,
I mean, hey, your career would be insane right now.
I know.
Sam might be moving out soon, so you might have an opening.
Hey-o.
Yeah, it's true.
You moving on up.
I'm getting to the point. I'm
sure.
I may or may not be buying a house.
Hey-o.
Mm-hmm.
Just you and your pops?
Me and my dad. No, it would just be me, and then eventually probably Olivia.
Sure.
Which is,
Don't worry, Sam. We can cut anything out of the podcast. So
dude, cut this shit out, dude. I do not want her. No, you guys are my friends. You know
sure.
that it's moving in that sort of direction. But we'll see what happens. She just signed a lease at her own apartment, so I've kind of bought myself like almost a year of living by myself.
Sure, which would be good for you. It'd be good.
Yeah, honestly would be awesome. I've never lived alone. I've had roommates. I've lived with Cam for 5 years, and then before Cam, I had roommates, which is pretty crazy. And now I'm turning 28, so I'm like, I think it's just the time where I want to finally live on my own and be a big dog.
Yeah, big boy.
Big boy dog.
You got that Goldberg cash coming through.
Gosh, what a blessing. Jeez.
I wonder if Sam's gonna miss me when he's gone.
Cam, of course I won't.
That's why he's leaving.
Yeah, getting the fuck out of here. No, it's. Of course I'll miss you. What do you mean? But it's not like we're not gonna be friends anymore.
Right.
Yeah, well, usually the people that move out, I'm not friends with anymore. So
we're still friends, you ass.
Yeah, true.
But Sam has honestly worked his ass off for a very, very long time to get to a place where he can buy a house for himself. So it's impressive. And Sam has, he's been in this business since he was a kid, like literally a kid. He was a child actor.
Yeah.
So, Sammy, why don't you tell us, how you even started and got into acting from that young of an age?
Yeah, okay. So my first job was I played Ben Stiller's son in this movie called Envy. It was like a really bad movie. It has a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Christopher Walken, Amy Poehler, Rachel Weisz. Like, it's like the craziest cast of all time, and directed by Barry Levinson, who's like one of the biggest directors ever. But it's like this really bad comedy that just like went nowhere. And that was my first job, was playing Ben Stiller's son in that. But yeah, so I grew up here in LA. Obviously, I'm from the Valley. My dad is an actor, as well, a character actor. His name's Ken Lerner, and he's been working for like 40 years. And so is his older brother, Michael, who's been in the business forever. They're just like when I used to go into casting offices as a kid, like people would just know who Ken and Michael were. And they were like, that name, I know it. And then I obviously look a lot like them. So they were like, they were like, they put it together like immediately. But yeah, so I was 9 when I first started like professionally, but I still went to like normal school and stuff. I went to a public school for middle school and high school. And then when I graduated high school, I was like, I was working a little bit at the time. So I was like, I think I'm just going to keep going with acting and just hope that it works out. And I didn't even apply to college, which is kind of sad to think about. I remember my SAT scores were terrible too. I had a 1510 out of like, it's out of like 2,400. That's like a terrible score. It was awful. Yeah. Anyway, how did I get here? Yeah. So yeah, I started as a kid, and then now I'm 27, and that's crazy.
Was your dad supportive of you going into it? Did he want you to do it, or?
I think like my parents like, it was important to them for me to have like a normal childhood, which is why they kept me in like public school and stuff. Cause I feel like a lot of child actors, they get pulled out and just do homeschool because it's like easier. And that way you can like be available for auditions. And when you're working on something, you can just have all your curriculum there, as opposed to like every time I worked a job when I was a kid, I had to like ask my school for all my assignments and stuff. And they would like, for the most part, work with us and like give me all the stuff that I would need to do so I could do normal school. But they were super supportive because it was kind of the family business. Like my dad and his brother have made a living as character actors for their whole lives. So it was like, it was a very easy transition for me to, be going to auditions and stuff. And I think I just always liked it. Like I was always like a very like charismatic kid who like wanted to be like the class clown and was always making jokes and stuff. So I feel like I kind of just have always craved that attention. And now I've made it into what it is now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, since my dad was an actor, it was kind of just like, oh, I guess he wants to do this. So they were supportive.
Did he help you a lot, like with auditions and stuff, getting started?
Oh yeah.
Like preparing for them is what I mean.
Yeah, totally. Cause my dad, so we all know as actors how it can go like this. It's very up and down. So he's been an acting teacher for like 30 years also. Cause like when he went through like a slow period in his career, he was like, what else can I do? I need like a side hustle. And he was like, well, this is still in acting. So he's had private classes for like as long as I can remember. Like since I was a child, he's been teaching private classes, and then he now teaches at New York Film Academy as well. So yeah, I mean, he used to just go over all of my auditions with me. I had a private live-in acting coach that would help me with all my stuff. And like my dad's just got the best instincts and like can break down a script in like 2 seconds. So it was kind of like an insanely unfair advantage.
Yeah, sure.
Actually. Yeah.
Sam's dad is very, very special. He's hilarious, and he's
So funny.
like, he's charming at the same time, but also, I don't know. He's the best guy in the whole world. People love Sam's dad, like love Sam's dad.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. He's super funny.
His texts that you put on like close friend stories sometimes always kill me. Oh my God, they're hilarious.
Dude, I mean, he just learned how to text too, so it's like I just have gold all the time, and he thinks he's hilarious, so he's always just cracking humor. You know, he also leaves me hilarious voicemails. He'll be like, "Sammy, what the fuck is this? Like, I saw you post something on Instagram that was blah blah blah." Like, he's such a character. He's so funny.
I do feel like you are a young version of your dad.
Dude, it's crazy. Like I because he's been working since he was like 30. Now that I'm becoming close to 30, like there's old video of him like in like that movie that someone sent me a clip of. My dad did a movie with Schwarzenegger where Schwarzenegger stabs him in the back with a pen. And my dad was like super young. He had jet black hair, like was skinny still. Like no offense, Dad, if you're listening, you know, he's 72, so it's okay. But he was a stud, dude. There's also my dad was on Happy Days, which is crazy. He did 13 episodes of Happy Days, and that back in the day, you could play multiple people on the same show because like people didn't really care, I guess. Like, so he played different characters. And there's a photo of my dad like flexing with the Fonz that we have actually framed in my parents' house. And my dad has like an 8-pack, which is insane. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I look like him for sure. And I'm like growing into looking like him, and like, it's chill, but also like, he's like an old Jewish teddy bear. And now I would love to be like a young man in his 20s that doesn't resemble like an old Jew. So,
but you've gotten over, I mean, even over the time I've known you, you've gotten way more in shape and athletic than when we first met, honestly.
Yeah.
Like seriously, you have like seeing like from basketball days, like to barely getting touches to like running teams. Like
that's so funny. Yeah. You've seen my basketball career really flourish.
Yeah, truly.
On it, truly, the body transformation has upped his confidence so much on the
yeah, Cam likes to say to me always that I was way nicer when I was fat, which I think is absolute bullshit because I'm always nice and also hilarious. But yeah, I for me though, like I have to work out so much to like stay in shape. Like I feel like Hart, you're like, I'm not just going to gush over you right now, but like, come on, your body's fucking insane. And I feel like but also you work out really hard and like, I'm sure you eat really well. But for me, it's like, if I eat bad for like a week, I gain 30 pounds.
Yeah. That sort of is, I feel like what keeps me pretty level is I just never eat bad. Like I always I barely ever eat as is. And when I do, I just eat like, I don't know. I never think about food in that way. I never have. I've always been like, I sort of just eat to get it over with. I hate that because like, I know there's wonderful food experiences that I miss because I don't really care about food that much.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I can't relate.
I think it's because I don't know. I think the options are pretty limited as to what you can eat when you grow up in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. As far as like different cultures of cuisines and things like that, like I'm still getting very like used to sushi even. Like, they don't really have sushi in Arkansas. It's very hard to get like fresh sushi there. So
right, because you just ate like goat and like
you just eat goat, and
bison, things like that.
Chicken. And that's it. And so it's like, I'm enjoying it more and more, but it's just not something that I got used to, having. And then there were also really hard times in my life where I got very used to eating the most minimum because that's all I could eat. Mm-hmm. And so I would like
whatever you could afford or
like from the 99-cent store, like a can of beans and like some rice and some pasta or something. So it's like, I didn't really develop like a big desire for like really good food. Even later on, even after the fact, I don't know. It's never really been something there. I always just sort of like eat to get it over with, truly.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I food's like always just been such a big part of like, I feel like my like that's something I probably got from my dad also. It's
well, that's
like,
what you post on your story all the time is like conversations between you and your dad about food. It's so funny to me. I love it.
It's a whole thing. Like, you know, the way that my dad actually even got on the Goldbergs was because my dad plays my dad on the show, which is amazing. I used to post videos of him ordering Chinese food when we would be out to eat. And like, he's just got this like crazy manic energy when he's at a Chinese restaurant because he's so like, he has to control everything. And he's like, all right, here's what she's going to have. And she's going to have a bite of this and you can have that. And like, he would ask for like a to-go box before the meal even comes so that he can like put some food away to take home for later, which is like just an insane, it's like at least just wait until the meal is over and then get to the to-go box. But he like prepared for it. So I don't know. I just feel like I like inherited this energy from my dad where it's like also I eat really fast. I feel like it's just,
me too.
Yeah. It's just like, I think most people that eat really fast, it's like they had siblings or something that maybe would like compete with them for food. And I have a sister, but like we always had plenty of food around. It's just, I think we're just maniacal psychopaths that are like food driven and just, I don't know. It's like a whole thing.
Sam, throughout our time living together, has actually introduced me to so many foods that I would have never tried growing up because I was always like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. And just through living with Sam and the kind of food that he's ordered and like just opened my world to, I eat so many foods now because of him.
Yeah.
Cam used to only eat white meat chicken breast.
Well, even me too. That's the thing. And even when we went, the three of us, and I think Graham went to some restaurant on, I think, I sat down. I didn't know a single thing what to order. And you guys, mostly you, Sam, were like, we'll have this, that, this, just like your father. And then it all came out and it was all amazing. But you know so much more about that than I know at all. Like I was just like, well, I have no idea what any of this is.
Yeah. I've always been like obsessed with food. I mean, it's such a huge part of my life and like just trying new stuff is amazing.
I appreciate it. I like it a lot. I think it's my own little fear of like, if I eat this, then my stomach's not going to be able to handle it because I've never had this in my life before and I get freaked out by it.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, there's just so much out there and especially living in LA, it's like we have so many options that I feel like it's just so easy to like expand your horizons, but I feel you. I mean, it's not like I'm eating like, you know, like crazy bugs or anything, you know, like I still need to be very careful, like with what I'm eating just for I have a Jewish stomach as well. So I'm like, you know, I can't, like I do eat all these things, but then I kind of pay the price sometimes depending on how adventurous I get with my eating.
I'd say most nights Sam and I pay the price.
I mean, we're big food guys. It's fun.
I also have a weird complex where I don't like people touching my food. Like I don't like eating out that much. I like making food at home because I'm touching it, I'm preparing it. There's just something like if I'm going to eat at a restaurant, I love if it has like a big open kitchen because then I just feel like I can see what's going on and it holds everybody accountable and it's still, I don't know, puts me at ease a little bit.
You have a fear of people kind of messing with your food for like a specific reason or just
no. Mostly just like mishandling. Like I've worked in restaurants before and I've seen people just be really lackadaisical with food. Yeah. And then and like really nice restaurants and like expensive ones that you would think like, oh, this is going to be, of course my food's going to be fine. And I've seen just like how they've handled some stuff and I'm just like, yikes. I that really terrifies me. If you guys are doing that, like it only can get worse below that.
Yeah. I know. That's why COVID's kind of nice with like everyone has a freaking mask and a face shield on. Yeah. So it's like if you do go anywhere, it's like you feel very safe because you know that they're not spitting their spittle.
Yeah. Right. Or like dropping food or I don't know. It's just too much.
Yeah.
But, well, welcome to it. Thanks for coming on our food podcast.
Man,
Sam, why don't you talk about how you and I met and how that sort of like transitioned into the Goldberg for you into where you are now?
Yes, I met Cam. It was 2012 or 2013, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I booked this movie it was called Almanac at the time, and then it ended up being called Project Almanac. But it was like this job that I just wanted so bad. I was one of those movies that I auditioned like 5 times, like with the director, and like they just kept on having to bring us in, and then there was like chemistry reads and stuff. And it ended up being me and Johnny Weston and Alan Evangelista, but like everyone read for it. Like I remember reading with like Dylan O'Brien, and I read with other, like a bunch of other actors. I think I read with your boy Ross Butler. I feel like I just like read with a bunch of different people, and they were just like kind of mixing us up together, which was a pretty scary process. But when I ended up getting it, and then we filmed in Atlanta, Cam's dad, Brad Fuller, produced the movie. And when I got to Atlanta, he was like, "Hey, by the way, my son is here, and he's about to go to college." I think you were starting college, or you were in college already.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't even remember. Might have been
you were like, it was something, you were about to go to college, I think, and then you came to Atlanta to work like a summer job with your dad. I think it was like instead of staying at home back in LA, like you came to kind of.
I had gone to New York to work on his other movie, which was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time. And that just like didn't go well for the first 5 days because he created a job for me that didn't exist. So I like went to set and he put me in the props department of the movie so I could be close to set. So I could be bringing things back and forth and see what was going on. Like that was the whole goal, to get me close to set. And I got there and they were like, "Yeah, you can't like touch anything because you're not in the props union." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I couldn't do the job. And then
for listeners that might not know, we're Cam, Graham, Sam. It's hilarious. Have fun with that. But we all agree that like your heart is like king. Like heart humor, and then it's like maybe I'm somewhere down here. You're dude. Next level.
Well, thank you. You guys are a
Cam,
great audience.
Cam, you're below. You're down somewhere here. You know?
That's okay. I know. Heart humor is the best humor.
Yeah. Got a funny group for sure.
Yeah.
We're some funny friends.
And there's never been like we push boundaries where there's never like a moment where it's like, I mean, maybe you guys when you live together, but anytime I'm there, it's never like, you know what, man, that's you went too far. Like it's always just with us, we're just like, we just go as far as possible with each other. And it's, we know that we're just joking. We know that we don't actually mean those things.
Also, when you're an actor, like a lot of like Sam and Graham and you, Hart as well, like you commit to the bit beyond the bit where it's like, okay, like good joke, it's done now. And you're just like still in it and you won't end it. And it just almost becomes like uncomfortable just to really just
you can't break character ever. I mean, that's what you learn as an actor. You cannot break character.
Yeah.
So Sam, speaking of comedy, you're on the Goldbergs.
Yes.
I mean, that's honestly, since I've lived with you, been the most life-changing thing you've had in your career, in my opinion. It's been an incredible blessing. You know, Sam went from when we first moved into our apartment, like just getting on this new show and almost barely being able to pay his rent month to month, and it being a big struggle, to this, you know, staying with it, staying on it, becoming this like very lovable person on set that everyone just loved. They grew his character, and now he's at the point where he's buying his own house, you know, and that was over 5 years. So it's honestly it is pretty inspirational, I'd say, for most people listening, to see how you can go from where you were to where you are just through hard work, dedication, and like just staying with it through the tough times, because it has not been an easy process.
Yeah. I mean, the job has really just been like such a blessing, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it was easy to an extent, but like there were times where I just didn't see the big picture. Like a few years ago, I almost left the show because you spelled it out a little bit. So I started the show in like 2014. I joined in the second season and I was a guest star. And when I auditioned, it was like possibly recurring. It was never like supposed to be a huge role. It was just one of the son, Barry's friends. And there were three of us. And so there were three new characters added, and we were in like a couple episodes and we had funny lines here and there. And we did my first season, I did 7 episodes as a guest star. And that was awesome. It was like, oh, this new show and people kind of like it. And yeah, that's cool. And then season 3, they brought my character back a lot more, and they brought me and the 2 other guys back a lot more. And we're this little group on the show called the JTP. It stands for Jenkintown Posse. And so we're like the little gang of friends that's friends with the middle son on the show named Barry. And so, you know, season 3, I did my thing. I think that season I ended up doing like 14 out of the 24 episodes of that year. So I was like, oh, this is crazy. They like doubled my episode count this year, which is awesome. But it was still in a guest star capacity. And then season 4, they brought us back again. And that season I was in almost every episode. Like they were writing for my character so much, which was so cool. And I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, they're writing for me on this show that's becoming a hit in the process. And it was just really cool because I had never had that consistent of work before. And at this point, I'm probably in like the 30 episode range I had done by then. And after season 4, I wouldn't say I started to get an ego, but it definitely, like in this career, it gets to a point where you're like, you know, you have to, in order to get paid more, or in order to get the raise to series regular, like you have to kind of make a stand. And so I was at a point where my agents and my manager were asking them to make me a series regular because their argument was, you're using him in almost all the episodes anyway. And so why won't you just make it official? And what they always said was, well, the show's called the Goldbergs and he's not a Goldberg because my character is Jeff Schwartz. But they were writing like a love interest role for me for the daughter. So the daughter on the show, Haley Arantia, they were like kind of hinting at it for a lot of season 3, and then well into season 4, I think, like we started to get together. But so then it got to a point, I think it was between season 4 and 5, it was like the summer hiatus, and I had like 2 indie movie offers. They were like not huge movies that were going to change my career or anything, but I went through this point where I was like, well, yeah, I'm recurring on this show, but like I'm in all the episodes and they won't make me a regular. So like maybe I should leave and go see what's up with these movies and see what that might lead to and see if it'll take me to the next step in my career. And I sat down with Cameron's dad, actually. And he was, because Brad's always been like a mentor to me to bounce ideas off of or just talk to about the industry, because he's just seen so much and done so much in this industry, and he has so many relationships. And he sat me down and was just like, dude, yes, you could go and do this indie movie that might not lead anywhere and you're not going to get paid anything, or you could stay on the show that you're on and, you know, be there and kind of just be a good sport and understand that it's rare to be on a show that's a hit, and, you know, just kind of bide your time and stay there, and hopefully they'll do right by you eventually. So that year they ended up making me a series regular for season 5. And it was just like a huge, you know, goal fulfillment for me to be a series regular on a show, because I had never done that. But also, like, even my family, you know, we're a family of character actors. So like to be a consistent role on a show that's working, it was just like, I hadn't even thought that I could ever do that in my career. So for that to happen that early on was just a blessing. And now we're in season 8 and I've been a regular for 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's like, I'm just so happy that I stuck with it. And I'm so happy that I didn't run away just because you know, my ego might've been kind of fighting things, but you know, and now I've been on the show for 7 years. So it's like, and it's brought me to the position, like you said, where I'm able to buy a house, even though it's still really scary and I'm questioning it. But it's, you know, just consistency in this business is tough. And so I'm really happy that, like, you know, I had all these people in my corner that were kind of, when I would ask them advice, they would tell me what they thought. And I'm glad that I ended up listening mostly to your dad and to, you know, to you even. Like, I know we spoke about it many times. But yeah, I'm very just fortunate and grateful to be now a part of a show like this that's like been on for 8 years and doing well. So
It's amazing. It really is. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's super cool.
Are you guys still currently? Are you shooting right now?
Yeah, we're filming now, and we came back with tons of COVID precautions now. So we're, we have to wear masks unless we're in the makeup chair or if we're literally on set. Otherwise, we have to wear a mask or we have to hold this like clear face shield so that we're not, we're, like nothing's touching us. So there's just like all these things now. And like all the crew members have like mask and face shield, and they have to wear like a nurse gown over their clothes. It's crazy, man. You'll see when you go do your movie in India.
Yeah, I don't know because it's an indie, so I don't know how much like, and we're in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how like
they're like COVID. What's COVID?
Yeah. Here's your quarantine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I do know that I think we have to get tested twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you get tested?
We're doing like 3 times a week. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure twice is the same thing. I mean, it takes like 2 or 3 days for results anyway. So I got
it back in March or no, July. And
you had COVID?
Yeah, I had COVID, and it took 11 days for them to give me the results. So like it had passed by then, but I had no knowledge that I had it.
Oh wow! So you were asymptomatic.
Yeah, and I got 2 tests. Well, I felt a little off, just like sinus headache. It didn't seem like anything crazy. I went out and ran a bunch.
Didn't you call me and you were like, I have really bad headaches? It was like one day where you like went down for the count.
Well, no, that was separate. That I just have bad headaches. But I was supposed to take a flight. It was like on a Thursday. I was supposed to have a flight on a Friday. And my head was hurting, but there was a lot of sinus pressure that I knew if I flew, I was going to feel miserable. So I went and got a rapid test, which is like 15 minutes, and it came back negative, but I still kind of felt off. So I went to another clinic and got one that they said it could take a week, and it ended up taking 11 days. And they called me and were talking me through the fact that I was positive. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I had no knowledge over the past 11 days that I had it. And it was kind of a nightmare to then try to backtrack and be like, where have I been? What have I been? Who have I seen? Like, thinking like I didn't have it. And
did you give it to anyone?
Knowledge I didn't give it to anyone, and my roommate didn't get it, and I'm here with him the whole time. So
wow,
yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah,
we had so many like just these past few months, just so many ups and downs with COVID, like because Cam and I were quarantined together during this whole time, and it was just. I mean, it was just hey man, I'm going to the grocery store. Oh, are you going to the grocery store? You got your mask, you got your gloves, you got your sanitizer. It was like, it became this like, who's being more dangerous than the other? And like, I mean, I think now we're all kind of in the same boat of like, we all know if we go somewhere, we have to wear a mask and like, we all have to be careful and wash our hands and not touch our face and stuff. So
it really took us about 5 months to really get on the exact same page because it was so scary, dude.
Yeah. I mean, just not knowing how you even get it at first. I feel like information was kind of confusing, for so long. And
still is. Yeah. It's all.
Yeah. Like, are we even remotely through this or not?
No. And it's like, and it also is like, do we have any sort of fact on, can you get it again and how quickly can you get it? And like, all that is still, to me, seems to be up in the air.
Yeah. Cause I bet when you found out you had it already, you were like, woo, I can't get it anymore.
Yeah. Cause they were doing the whole like antibodies thing. And then now I hear all this stuff that it mutates and you can get it. So it's like, who do we trust?
Man,
how are we supposed to know?
Confusing.
Not to pull away from COVID, but it's COVID.
Yeah, we got to respect COVID, boys.
Yeah.
Last thing we do on this podcast is we talk about your worst audition you've ever had. So tell us about the worst audition you have ever had.
Or
so many to count.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone says.
Oh my God. Jeez. I've had some terrible auditions over the years, boys. One story that I really like is one time it was a movie I was auditioning for a movie that Steve Carell was in. It was like Seeking a Friend for the End of the World was the movie. It was a few years back, and I'll never forget this because it was a one-line audition, and I was like, I even asked my manager, I was like, should I really go audition for this? It's one line, like, what do you think? And they were like, yeah, well, it's a big movie, so even if it is one line, at least people would see you in that big movie. So why don't you just go? Like, if you're not doing anything else, you should go. So I go, and the line on the script was like, you're ruining my life, Dad. Like that was my line, and that was the audition. And I didn't really go over it because I was like, oh, it's one line. I can remember one line. I obviously don't need to memorize this or spend any time on it. So I get in the room, and she's like, yep, whenever you're ready. And I'm like, the line is, you're ruining my life, Dad. And I go, leave me alone. And she goes, okay, Sam, that was great. That was great. Do you want to try it again, like as scripted? And I was like, yeah, no, totally. I mean, I figured, because it was one line, like I could kind of put my own spin on it. I was like, leave me alone. It's kind of like you're ruining my life. So like, I figured I'd just go with that. And she was just like, yeah, let's do it as scripted. And I was like, great, that's great. And I didn't get that. That's kind of a boring story, but I mean, I've had so many like just crazy auditions. Like, I remember I read with Vince Vaughn once in the room. It was for that movie called The Internship or The Intern. It was like the movie where Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn work at Google.
Yeah.
Dylan O'Brien.
Yes, Dylan got the role. Dylan got that role. And I wanted it so bad. And so I made it to the point where like you improvise with Vince Vaughn, and the guy didn't let me get a word in. Like, he is so funny and so quick that like, I remember just trying to keep up, and like, I'm already like a very nervous improviser, which is funny because I mostly do comedy, but like I get very nervous. Like, I can do it, but I get nervous. And like with Vince Vaughn just firing off lines at me, I like couldn't even get a word in. I was probably so awkward and not good. And then Dylan was probably great. So good for you, Dylan.
I guess that's why I got it. So
yeah, true. But yeah, I mean, auditioning is just so crazy. You guys know, it's like, it's not the same as being on set at all.
No, it's
certain people are good auditioners, but those people are very few and far between. I think acting is not auditioning. It's a different skill, I think.
Yeah, it's a very different skill. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, thanks. Good to see you.
Wait, are we not even going to touch on the fact that Hart and I did a movie together? And that's how we actually
met?
That's crazy.
Holy yes, yeah. And Jazz was in that scene, who then did Sabrina, and so it's all it's just crazy how like those spawned from that. But yes, we did. And it was my first time to do really anything, and didn't know what really a night shoot was, that you shoot all night, like throughout the night till like 4, 5, 6 a.m. And I got there at, I don't know, 6 p.m. and thought like, oh, we'll shoot for a couple of hours and we'll go home. And a bunch of like the much more professional actors that were there were like, like very well rested, and been like sleeping and like, we're getting a coffee. And like, they're like, it's so good to be up and stuff. And I was like, good to be up? What do you mean? And they're like, well, we're going to shoot until like 5, 6 a.m. because we have to use all the hours of darkness. Idiot, basically, is how they like said that. And I was just like, oh no, I'm doomed. But we made it through it. It was fine. After I was screamed at by that one actress.
Well, she won't be named.
And yeah, that was
called Fun Mom Dinner, though.
Fun Mom Dinner, yeah.
And we had like, me and Hart both had like small roles in this movie, but it was funny. That was a really funny movie,
right? Didn't you get slapped? Yeah.
Bridget Everett slaps me across the face in the movie. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, and then I remember there was like a little dance scene out on the like top of the boat, and I was holding a girl like dancing. I think it was Jazz, and I was going like this, like for some reason, like I was doing this with my forehead, and one of the other actresses came up and just massaged my forehead, like the crinkle out of my forehead. And I knew what she was doing because my face, like I do that sometimes. I like will just do this, and she just like massaged it out, and she's like, "Don't do that." And I was like, okay.
And now you know never to crinkle your forehead.
Now I know not to do that. So that was a very pivotal moment in my career, was working on that with you. So
eye-opening experience for you
it was
and
great.
for me.
Yeah,
that was fun
really
though.
great.
And then when you and Cam became friends, I was like, no way. I just worked with him. That's so fun.
Yeah, it happened. That all happened in like the same month for sure.
Yeah. Crazy coincidence. And now we're all pals.
Now
dude.
we're all just the best of friends. It's amazing.
So cool.
It's destiny, guys. Great.
Yay.
Well, Sam, thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Of course. This was fun.
I'm sure I'll come over some point this week. We'll watch some hoops because we need to catch up. So that would be good.
That would be great, dude. It would be great to see you. And congrats on your movie. I hope it goes really well if I don't see you before that.
Thanks, brother. Congrats on Goldbergs and congrats on your fantasy team and for beating Cam tonight.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to beat him tonight. Let's go.
Nothing more embarrassing than setting Sam's fantasy lineup and then
because I don't really know what's happening, but Cam helps me out. He's nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Sammy, thanks for coming on. You're the man. I will see you in like a few minutes.
Okay, great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man. Can't wait.
Bye, Sam.
Bye, Sam.
Bye, guys. Thank you.